Okay, welcome to Insane, but technically possible, featuring Riptide, Hidden Agenda, and the Target Totalizer, which I absolutely hate saying. Also see that they updated the HP pool for the practice dummy. But what are we trying to do today? Well, nice and simple. We're going to play through the entirety of the deck. Now, obviously, this is rigged in my favor, right, to show off exactly what I want to show off, but it is possible, because there is no resource cheating quite like Hidden Agenda, right? The potential upside of this is huge. Whether or not you do what I'm about to do, you can still get a ton of usage out of it. Now, the main gimmick we're going to be doing is basically dancing with Endless Arrow, right? So every other move will be Endless Arrow. So that is how we generate just abnormal amounts of resource. I'm also going to play a bit quick, right? Because last time I got the current player inactive, things broke. So Hidden Agenda allows us to flip Endless Arrow, right? It generates us that one resource. Now, against a normal opponent, I will concede that a normal Endless Arrow would not usually hit, right? You'd have to wear down their hand, and then Endless Arrow would come into it. In a duality sense, right, that makes Endless Arrow significantly more powerful as well, right? Because right now, it's definitely, a reusable card, so the opponent wants to shut down. But now it's a reusable card that generates a resource every time, right? That is super more devastating, but nice and simple, right? Endless Arrow, we have Snapdragons to give it go again, which is important because we don't want to play Rapid Fire just yet. We could, or we could take Perch Grapplers, right? But that is a hefty 2 cost to it. So we do this, we land it, it goes back to hand. Again, abnormal situation, but bear with me. I want to show off absolute insanity. So from there, you forget to use Snapdragon Scalers, so you rewind. I will muck up, right? Because we're trying to sequence 55 plus cards, because there are some other shenanigans in this as well. But hopefully there are some other good little combos to show off, and we'll go through to try and showcase some alternative uses for all the new Ranger equipment that is ever so devastating. But with Endless Arrow back in hand, right, we can play Rapid Fire. Regardless of Riptide or its own reload, we can reload Endless Arrow, right? Face down, meaning we can proc Hidden Agenda, generate another resource, and you can probably see where I'm going with this already, right? Art of War being free is super impactful, but then we can just, power through all our Endless Arrows, do some damage, start trying to stack up the buffs and ramp up the damage now that they have go again. So Rain of Razors allows us to, again, Arsenal and Endless Arrow, which then in turn allows us to flip it. Basically, every other action we're going to be doing is pretty much playing an Endless Arrow, right? Which is where it gets the level of absurdity. Because if you can somehow just get through an Endless Arrow, I would say in some situations this could be, your final maneuver where it's just you've won, right? Depending again what else you have going for your deck, whether you stack it in favor of this type of combo. Because there are a lot of usable pieces, and Sandscale Greatbow is definitely up there, right? Its utility has gone way up since it allows you to pull arrows from the deck. I was going to make sure to always hit Agenda, right? I think I've worked it out perfectly, the amount of resources we need. So I do have to be a little bit wary of that. Right, so obviously we have no arrow right now to Art of War because I want to maintain the Endless Arrow. So this is where Sharpshooters comes into play. Destroy this, put an arrow from your hand face up into your arsenal. We can't hit an Agenda it, but we can still use it in combination with the Target Totalizer to then draw a card. So we have a few different facets of draw through this deck, right? I don't really want to call it a deck through this gimmick. Okay, so Endless Arrow, it will hit because it's against the dummy, right? I'm very curious how much damage we end up going with. So we get Bolt and Shot, blue, right? So Bolt and Shot is definitely a very, very impactful card with this type of synergy because it allows you to reload, right? It sort of makes this more workable for Azalea, not just Riptide's own, just play through it all and reload. Another nice combo that's not in this deck, so we might as well point out, is Three of a Kind, right? So you can double play Three of a Kind as Riptide. You play the first one, allows you to Arsenal the second one, and you stack up a bunch of resources. That then allows you to use Sandscale Greatbow or equipment or anything else to try and get a lot of shots off. Works well with Tri-Shot. But since we have the Bow and Shot now, we can Art of War with our free resources. So Art of War, we will take the buff and we'll take the banish. So of course we will banish the Bolt and Shot over the Endless Arrow, and this in turn allows us to read the prompts. Don't talk, somewhat concentrate. Right, this in turn allows us to stick a card in our arsenal, because we're Riptide, and then banish the correct card. Yeah. So we draw 2, Art of War, Bolt and Shot, surprise, surprise, right? It's rigged. In Agenda, get our free resource. Of course, shoot our arrow. We want maximum damage, because I am very curious where this ends up, if it overtakes Zen, right, in the amount of damage, if it could have KO'd the old bot. But again, buff, banish, continue drawing through our plethora of cards, loaded up correctly this time, and I will make countless mistakes all throughout this, because again, there is a lot going on. I have a little list of clicks that I need to make, but it's still going to get messy. Alright, so another Endless Arrow for 10, and then we reach 11 with the next one, and we're still sitting at 4 resources, and you can probably guess what we're going to do with those 4 resources. I mean, look at this. So even not in this circumstance, again, similar to Zen, this makes Art of War free for Riptide. That is where it is heavily impactful, regardless of what arrow you're doing. Now, the difference is you're backloading, right, the resources. You have to play Art of War to then get the rebate, right? So that's where it's a little bit different. But in the same case as Zen, you have to play the Transcend cards in order to get the resources back. So yeah, it is in my eyes just as broken as 12 Petals, if not more. So we get Random Razors and Gorgarian Tome. Of course, we're going to flip our Endless Arrow. And I was kind of debating whether or not to just film this all and then talk over it rather than doing it in person. I could probably concentrate better. And then I could also skip through the repetition. But we're stuck with it now, right? So again, continue buffing the arrows, try and get maximum damage. I think that's all 3, right? Rain Razors, as well as all 3 Art of Wars, I'm going to say. Yeah. Okay, so our arrows are now doing 13. That's pretty sizable, right? That's kind of close to the Tigers. Gorgarian Tome, some more draw, and of course, a little bit more load up. Make sure we hit an agenda. I might as well be doing it on the instant proc. I'm glad it's instant too, right? That's another thing. It breaks the chain. But there we are. 6 resources floating. We haven't pitched a single card, and we get cash in. Now, of course, I'm going to shoot 13, but I will just emphasize again. I'm taking this to the extreme, right? The opponent is dead twice over. You don't need the Endless Arrow gimmick to do numbers with this, right? It still feeds into draw immensely. You can still cycle through very similar combos to Zen, right? Especially if you go down the Azalea route, right? And being able to fetch a bunch of different arrows. But we will cash in, we will draw some more cards, and we will stick Endless Arrow in our arsenal. Of course, flip it for our freebie. And the cards we draw are going to be Lead the Charge and Tome, right? More impactful. And you can take Mage Master too. But the fact that, again, if you have an Endless Arrow to go with this, right? 2 more shots, as well as draw. It is just huge, huge upside with whatever you're trying to chain together. The threat of Endless Arrow is what I really want to convey, right? Endless Arrow was already an impactful card for Ranger. Now it's just on steroids, right? With the Hidden Agenda turn. Even the target totalizer, if you take a bunch of like point the tip, could be insane. But we will lead the charge so that we can play the Tome. And of course that means we will load up the Endless Arrow. We will flip it, get back to 4, right? For our cash-ins eventual, right? Endless Arrow. And we pass the 100 damage mark. And we're not even close to done. Alright, so Tome, draw 2 more cards, right? Even though we go down on resources, we get back because we're about to flip, right? We're back to 4 already. Again, I'm very curious to see the statistics at the end of this with how much resources we've generated without pitching anything, because that's the absolute insanity. Alright, and then another Lead the Charge. Basically, we're through the draw cycle. I might fast forward this bit, right? When we get to repetition of cards, and there's nothing for me to really explain, I think we'll fast forward. Okay, with most of the draw out of the way, we can now highlight another card, which is Tri-Shot. So you may activate target bow you control 2 additional times this turn. Again, since Sandscour Great Bow allows you to pull from the deck, plus, again, feeds into the whole aim counter shtick, it is really impactful with Tri-Shot, right? And I'm so glad that this card sees more use, or will see more use, hopefully. Because again, it's also blue pitchable and 3 block. It's nicely statted, but bows are becoming more impactful, right? Rather than printing stronger bows like Voltaire, we're getting better synergy through equipment, and I really like that route, right? So we are out of resources for the cash-in, that's fine. We'll play Tri-Shot and get our freebie. Stick the Endless Arrow, flip it over, and just like that, we're back to 4 for the cash-in. Right, make sure we shoot first, and we have 3 charges on our bow now. And we pass the 200 damage mark. Perfect. It should... Will it ramp up? I'm trying to think if we actually will get more than Zen. Oh, it's going to be close. Alright. There is strategic planning. And yes, we are going to loop the deck. a couple times, actually, right? So we're going to play more than 60 cards, which in itself is also insanity. But with that out of the way, it means we're at bow usage. So I'm going to play through the hand, and we'll discuss strategic planning. Actually, I need my list of what to cycle with strategic planning, right? And then that's when we start transitioning to the Sandscale Great Bow and utilizing some of the very, very lucrative arrows to go along with this type of shenanigans. Okay, so with strategic planning, the question is, what is the most beneficial card for us to recycle, right? So we've got a few different options. Of course, we have draw. Time requires leave the charge zone. We have other draw. Not quite as good. We have better draw by way of cash in? No, right, we're using 2 or less. Yeah. So rapid fire, not needed, but try shot, right? Try shot allows us to not only use endless arrow, but gets us potentially 2 more pulls of our deck if we have stacked it correctly. And this is where it gets, you know, real gimmicky, real fairyland. But yeah, we'll take the try shot because I have stacked the deck. So we will endless arrow, and then we can start Sandscale. I almost forgot it for a second. Alright, so Sandscale is of course going to hit a bolt and shot. So we want it in an arsenal because it comes from the deck, it gets a name counter, which means it's going to draw a card. And it also has the handy effect of reloading, right? If it hits and if it's greater than, right? But that's more uses of endless arrow and more uses of hidden agenda. Bolt and shot just having so much more beneficial. And it's the whole idea of pressurizing. Pressurizing? The whole idea of pressuring. The fact that this is instant, right? Again, you're setting up your turn and then deciding whether or not it's time to pop it. The target totalizer, not so much, right? But that would be super OP if it was instant, right? As soon as the opponent starts to let something through, that's when you use it. But it is still a lot of pressure to apply through equipment, and that's always impactful. So we get our draw, and we get to reload, which of course, strategic planning, and then an endless arrow. So, question is, remember how I said about stacking the deck? Well, we know at the bottom is currently a try shot. So this is where it becomes a bit more tactical to use the strategic plannings. So we will flip, get our resource. I don't know why, I have a sinking feeling I've forgotten to flip one time. Hopefully not, because this is like my 3rd time recording this, actually. Alright, some more damage, strategic planning. Now, try shot on the bottom, so to follow that, what do we want? Well, the best thing to probably take is gonna be bolt and shot, right? So that we go try shot, Sandscale Great Bow, into bolt and shot. And we know that's a guarantee. Again, we still have to play through 30 more cards. It is insanely easy, but yeah, bolt and shot is what we're gonna take. We're gonna flip, pass, and shoot our arrow. Don't like the look of sticking at 3. We need to be at 4, because I'm pretty sure there's another cash-in coming. But Sandscale again, should hit another bolt and shot, perfect. We get to bolt and shots, we do some more damage, and basically I'm just going to continue stacking the try-shots and the bolt and shots one after the other. So we'll fast forward through that as well. Alright, so now, point and tip. So point and tip does work very well with Hidden Agenda, because of course the arrow has to already be face up, so sort of counter to Riptide's actual ability, but then you make up for it with Hidden Agenda. So now that we've flipped the endless arrow, and we have the 1 extra resource, we can't use point and tip. So unfortunately in this situation we do get the draw, which is definitely nice, but we do lose out on being able to load up endless arrow, right? So maybe I could have done something with 2 endless arrows where we juggle them, but for now we will point the tip, pass, and then be able to shoot an aimed endless arrow, and that way we get the draw. And that leads into another strategic planning, which of course we can play. Load up the endless arrow. And the card, I'm pretty sure it's Gorgarian Tome. We did all the try shots, all the bond shots. Yeah, so it is Gorgarian Tome. Alright, Gorgarian Tome. Flip. Pass. And shoot. Okay, so the deck should be stacked nicely. And now we move on to the next set of juggling. So, last Sandscale charge, just making sure it's correct for my little sheet. Good. And that gets us a salvage shot, right? So again, stack an arrow on the bottom of the deck, so if salvage shot hits, put on the bottom of your deck when the chain link resolves, does cost 1, but again, we have a decent stockpile of resources, so it's fine, and it's going to, of course, get us draw as well, which is very impactful. It also does a sizable amount of damage, right? So Silver the Tip, this is now the juggle card, right? So if you have no cards in your arsenal, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and you may put an arrow from among them face up into your arsenal, then put the rest on the bottom of your deck. Now, the easiest way to get around this, right, is obviously to have a very arrow-heavy deck, or, you know, maybe a 75-25 split, something like that. Blue is 2 cards, yellow is 3, red is 4, right? So you can statistically make this work. Now, of course, I've rigged the deck, so I know precisely what the cards are, but definitely usable. And again, resources. So play Silver Tip, Riptide, Arsenal, flip over, generate the resource back, and that allows us to continue to play the Silver Tips. So, we play it, we get to see our cards, and we don't actually want to put the card in the arsenal. That was my mistake. The resource generation comes from this, Pathing Helix, which is similar to Bolt and Shot, right? If Pathing Helix hits and you have no cards in your arsenal, you may put a card from your hand face down into your arsenal. Essentially, you know, early reload, right? So, we will put Pathing Helix into our arsenal. Well, shucks. See, this was a problem. I thought they fixed it because I saw the bug report, but I guess they haven't. Silver Tip is just way too old of a card, right? And it never really saw play. But we might as well explain the interaction, because I guess this is the end of the video. Unfortunately, we can't actually go through the extra plethora of damage, but I mean, what, just over 500? Decent start, I suppose. We can touch on it in the future. And we can't even play strategic planning. So the idea there was, well, you know what? Did something go wrong? No, because it gave me the correct options. We can't put that into our arsenal. We get 2 cards revealed, right? Silver Tip is the one that goes into the arsenal. We're clicking it. Ooh! No, yeah, and then put strategic planning for whatever reason. So nothing I can do about that, right? I don't know what's going on there. It's got another weird interaction, which it has already been noted, right? A lot of people have been playing around with it. It will show the incorrect amount of cards. So if there's no arrow, it will show 1 less than that, even though it should still allow you. I guess it's the then is confusing, right? It should still let you look at the top 2 cards, but only if you put an arrow into your arsenal may you put the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. Otherwise, it's just a deck site, right? But the idea was with Pathing Helix to then be able to continue to chain and this arrow, generate the resources to continue playing Silver Tip, right? So we just basically continuously look for either a Bolt and Shot or a Pathing Helix to continue using Endless Arrow to generate the resources to then play the Silver Tips. And that should loop. And the other big impact between Silver Tip and Sandscour is whenever an arrow is put face up in your arsenal from your deck, right? It doesn't have to be put there from the bow. If by any way it comes from the deck, so the arsenal face up, it gets a name counter, right? So that's where Silver Tip comes in clutch, because it says you may put an arrow card from among them face up into your arsenal. So a card from deck into arsenal should get a name counter, and then again allow you to look. It sucks too, because that's the biggest combo piece of this, right? This was all the initial stuff, the rigging of the deck with strategic planning is just, again, my shenanigans. That's not really the crux of the main line of play with Hidden Agenda and Target Totalizer. It would definitely be in conjunction with Silver Tip, because again, even if it's not in the arrow, the fact that you get to find an arrow and then aim counter to hit, and then potentially, depending on what arrows you take, try and reload to then again backload the resource you're playing and continue looping that, right? So we'll run through it because I have the list here. So it'd be a Silver Tip blue into another Silver Tip blue into another Silver Tip blue, eventually into yellow, 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 and the yellows would then cycle the red back, and then we get another set. This is where the Tri-Shot, Bone Shot that we put to the bottom would then surface, because we would have played through the entirety of the deck, and from there, Tri-Shot, Bone Shot, Tri-Shot, Bone Shot, Tri-Shot, Bone Shot, cash out, not cash out, call game time, right? To scratch cash in, or cash out, I also get that conflated, because of the cost, doesn't work with strategic planning, and then Salvage Shot, since that's also on the bottom of the deck, into what we've cycled with Silver Tip, which would be strategic planning. Is that meant to be in the graveyard? Why does that feel wrong too? That feels wrong too. Huh, fantastic. Or maybe we played one, right? And then into another set of silver tip using the red ones, into a final set of silver tip with the red ones, and then basically just as many salvage shots as we can. We can also then quiver. The problem with quiver and remembrance, right? Both of them shuffle the deck. And this is where I think they're starting to play into my version of Arranger, which is very tactical and precise. Obviously, getting through 60 cards is insane in proper competition. But if you could, right, I love the idea of Arranger being able to perfectly stack the deck, similar to what Klloo ended up being, right? So again, they have that thought of knowing exactly what's to come. And there is a lot of sight, but there's not so much stacking it in your favor, right? Azalea has a lot more pull from the deck put on top to feed into her hero ability, but Riptide not so much. But yeah, I definitely like this line of play. I mean, again, we still did a decent chunk of damage. It would have been a lot more. I mean, I can technically count how many endless arrows we would have gone off. So Silver Tip would not get an arrow, but it would go Pathing Helix, 1 into endless arrow, then another set of 2, another set of 2, another set of 2, 10 in total, 12 in total, 12 in total, 3 sets, 12 in total, 3 more Bolden shots, so that brings it to 18, and then another 3 Pathing Helixes, so that's now 24. So we're missing out on what? Like another good 500 damage? So it doesn't quite match up to Zen, but it's still insanity. Fortunately, I don't get to actually show off playing through the entirety of the deck. That's a little sad. Yeah. So, that's me pitching to rearrange the deck. 503, decent numbers, right? For what we do here. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Yeah.